Hello everyone, I'm Virigina, and thank you for joining me here. So, I said I would follow up regarding yesterday's video about the rally, the pro-gun rally on January 20th, 2020 in Virginia. So, from USA Today, the Civil Rights March of My Life. Thousands of pro-gun protesters, many heavily armed, rally peacefully in Richmond. Thousands of gun owners and gun rights supporters gathered Monday at Virginia's capital for a peaceful day to address our legislature that appeared to generate none of the violence feared by some state leaders. Many demonstrators opposed to proposed gun restrictions openly displayed military-style semi-automatic rifles. Others wore orange "Guns Save Lives" stickers as the crowd chanted USA and sang the national anthem. Signs read, "Come and take it," and Second Amendment sanctuary. But despite warnings from Governor Ralph Northam and law enforcement that out-of-state hate groups and militias may incite violence, the protests did not grow heated. Police estimated the size of the crowd at 22,000, including 6,000 people inside Capitol Square, and only one arrest was reported. Police said Michaela E. Beschler, 21 of Richmond, was charged with one felony count of wearing a mask in public after being worn twice before against wearing a bandana covering her face. Beschler was released on her recognizance. Demonstrator Matthew French, 40 from Bland, called the rally a success and said he hoped the large, peaceful crowd would help sway legislators. "The sheer numbers here speaks for itself," he said. "I hope our legislators will back off. Today was the Civil Rights March of my life." Well, maybe now, but probably not in the long term. Tom Rode, 49 of West Point, said he was happy to see no violence. "You got thousands of guns and not a single bullet fired," he said. Earlier, a heavy police presence greeted rally goers calmly lining up to enter the state capitol, where they had to pass through a security checkpoint. Connie Stanley, 58 from Aylett, came to the rally with a group of women. She sees owning a gun and the Second Amendment as a security issue. She said where she lives, it could take the police too long to respond if she calls 911. "As a woman, I feel like it's about protection," she said. Northam declared a state of emergency Friday through Tuesday, banning all weapons, including firearms, in the square around the Capitol building. He said law enforcement received supposed credible threats of violence from out-of-state hate groups and militias. Let's see. At least 6 suspected members of a violent neo-Nazi group were arrested last week in Maryland and Georgia. You're not even going to name the group? Authorities feared 3 of the men planned to try to incite violence at the rally. On Monday, law enforcement helicopters buzzed overhead as state, city, and Capitol Police kept a wary eye on the crowds. Barricades lined the streets and many shops were closed. Demonstrator Brantley Overby, 22, came armed to Richmond from Henderson, North Carolina. He said whenever there's a large group like one here, carrying a firearm is about safety. It's a sense of security, he said, of having a gun. If something happens, you have the option to use it. He came to Virginia because he feels similar laws could pass in North Carolina and around the U.S. "This is the first attack on the Second Amendment I've seen in a long time." Well, he's not really been paying attention whatsoever. Tim Hunter, 45, from Richmond, said the Second Amendment is important to veterans like him. He served in Desert Storm in the Army. "There's a reason it's number 2 on the list," he said. Hunter was inside Capitol Square, where tight security and fences line the perimeter. "Hunter and everyone else inside the grounds willfully decided to leave our weapons at home," he said. "If we come out here as an armed mob, nobody's going to listen." While more than 1,000 gathered inside the grounds, many more were outside rallying. Flags bearing President Trump's name and "Don't Tread on Me" poked up above the crowd as a smaller crowd inside the Capitol grounds watched. "We will not comply," the large crowd outside the gates chanted. The day was planned as a lobby day by Virginia Citizens Defense League, which has organized similar events to advocate for gun rights for years. A mass movement grew out of the scheduled protest this year, however, drawing interest from people who had malicious plans for the rally, Northam said. We really can't trust the governor. Authorities were determined to ensure that the rally didn't spark chaos that marked a 2017 white nationalist protest in Charlottesville. Clashes broke out at the Unite the Right rally because, thank you Antifa, and a neo-Nazi rammed his car into a crowd, killing a counter-protester who started the violence. Some of the militia groups that said they would attend the rally in Richmond are the same ones that attended that rally, the Daily Beast reported. No one wants another incident like the one we saw at Charlottesville, Northam said. "We will not allow that mayhem and violence to happen here." Ben Rigo, 43 from Chesapeake, It was at his first lobby day. Rigo said Northam and the Democrats' proposals have activated people like him who otherwise wouldn't come out to the state capitol to show their opposition. These laws aren't being done in good faith, he said. He worries that if a few pass, many more gun control regulations will come and spread to other states, which is correct. The Second Amendment is about self-defense and protection from a tyrannical government, he says. He believes the latter is being lost in the discussion around gun control. It's a touchy subject, but it's important, he said. Driving the momentum behind the Richmond rally was a host of new gun control measures backed by Northam and Democrats who flipped both houses of the General Assembly and have full control of state government for the first time since 1993. Democrats propose limiting handgun purchases to 1 month, which basically will do nothing, universal background checks on gun sales, which will do nothing, allowing localities to ban guns in some public areas, which will do nothing, and a red flag bill, which would allow authorities to supposedly temporarily, take guns away from anyone deemed to be dangerous to themselves or others. Where's due process? Other proposals include rules around reporting lost or stolen firearms and a ban on assault firearms, though some moderate Democrats have expressed concerns over that bill. Advocates for the gun control laws say Virginians signaled their approval of their proposals when they elected a Democrat-controlled General Assembly in November, which is absolutely true. If you don't pay attention to what's going on, you're going to lose out on stuff. Many Democrats campaigned on the issue of guns, and gun laws were the most important voting issues before the election among both Democrats and Republicans, according to a Washington Post George Mason poll. My apologies. Northam has worked to dispel the idea that he tends to go door to door with authorities to take away people's guns. He's a liar. He says the bills are intended to keep Virginians safer, but his detractors see them as infringing on the rights to bear arms, which I'll bring up in a little bit. All these bills are basically steps in the direction of disarming people, said Philip Van Cleve, president of the Virginia Citizens Defense League. Adding fuel to the fire, Trump on Friday tweeted that the Second Amendment was under very serious attack in Virginia, which was in my video yesterday, and here it is. In the weeks leading up to the rally, more than 100 counties, cities, and towns declared themselves sanctuaries for the Second Amendment, saying they would not enforce unconstitutional gun laws. While the sanctuary resolutions passed in many localities have been seen by supporters as a way to fight back against Northam's proposals, legal experts say those resolutions are largely symbolic, as the local law cannot supersede state law, even though the state law or the state politicians think they can supersede constitutional law. State Attorney General Mark Herring called the sanctuary resolutions part of an effort by the gun lobby to stoke fear. And said they have no legal force. Similar gun control proposals have survived constitutional challenges in other states. Ernest McGowan, a political science professor at University of Richmond, told USA Today. Compared to other states, what Virginia Democrats are proposing is no more extreme than other gun control measures, he said. So how about you don't pass or, push for gun control? When you really drill down into it, it's definitely a swing to the left, he said, but not one of those things where Northam is saying take everyone's guns away. Yeah, he's right. Don't take everyone's guns away. Just take away guns from people you don't like. Even though I chose USA Today's article, it does have some biases. Could have more, could have less, whatever. The rally itself, really, was large and peaceful. 22,000 people, that's no small group, really, but it's not the largest group. And there's honestly nothing really to report here, except that they were peaceful, and people generally were friendly from what we can, gather. But we do understand from this rally, is that some people are paying attention, some are paying attention to the news and the fact that some politicians quite literally want to take your, guns away, like it said at the end. This article mentioned that the governor said that he wouldn't take everyone's guns away, just people that he doesn't like. Look at this article from Breitbart from January 14th. Virginia Democrats drop AR-15 confiscation bill after thousands of NRA members show up. The NRA asked members to flood the January 13th, a week ago, when the Virginia Senate was meeting, and to ensure that pro-Second Amendment voices drowned out those calling for gun control within, the Senate area. So don't tell me that Virginia Democrats were not calling for gun confiscation. They were literally having it in the meeting until people showed up and said no. You can't get much clearer than this. Now, of course, it's not just Democrats, like I said in the last video, but we'll leave that for now, down for now. But what's the next step? What are the politicians' next moves to slowly take away your firearms? Also from Breitbart from January 20th, 2020. Washington. Oh, the good old state of Washington. Those Democrats weigh ban on assault weapons, 50 cal rifles, and 11-round magazines. Democrat lawmakers in Washington state will consider an assault weapons ban this week, as well as an end to ammunition magazines holding 11 rounds or more, because big numbers are scary, apparently. The legislation they are weighing, House Bill 2241, also tucks in 50 cal rifles under the assault weapons moniker, banning those rifles alongside AR-15s. Coures 7 reports that January 20th to 21st are the days in which committees will consider the bans. The text of HB 2241 makes clear everything from an AK-47, which is a very nice gun, or an AR-15, which is also a very nice gun, to a SKS and Barrett 50 cal M107A1 would be prohibited, as would a semi-automatic centerfire or rimfire rifle that has an overall length of less than 30 inches. In other words, 50 cal rifles longer than 30 inches would be banned, and rimfire rifles under 30 inches would also be banned. As for magazines, the bill defines a high-capacity magazine as an ammunition-feeding device with the capacity to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition or any conversion kit, part, or combination of parts from which such a device can be assembled if those parts are in the possession or under the control of the same person. On January 13th, 2020, Breitbart News reported Governor Jay Inslee, who was pushing the assault weapons ban and the ban on magazines holding 11 rounds or more, because the number 12 or higher apparently is scary. Coures 7 reported Attorney General Bob Ferguson, also a Democrat, was also pushing gun controls, and those included background checks for ammunition purchases. K5 News reported Ferguson also wants to require would-be ammunition sellers to get a license to sell from the state. On September 30th, 2019, Breitbart News reported that FBI stats showing over 5 times more people were killed with knives in 2018 than were killed with rifles of any kind. The FBI data showed a total of 1,500 deaths by knives and or cutting instruments versus just under 300 deaths by rifle in 2018. Look, politicians are going to find any way to disarm law-abiding citizens. In this case, Washington Democrats don't like barrels on firearms because barrels are scary. They want to limit how much ammunition you can put in a gun because numbers are scary. Background checks for buying ammo is just plain stupid. None of those steps would prevent a mass shooting, and these are just the minor steps that politicians are taking, or at least considering, to strip you of your right to own and operate a firearm legally. I get it, though. I really do. It's 2020, as I'm recording this video. But it's only going to get worse as the country continues to lurch to the political left, and people, of course, are indoctrinated with Marxism in universities. Quite literally, Marxism and post-Marxist thought. It's going to get much worse and worse until people collectively put their foot down. Until then, oh well. But thank you very much for watching. I'm Brazen Eagle, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.